Hi.
Hey.
It's very nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
Well, I'm very happy to be here. It's very nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm also happy to meet you, and especially in this location, in the Freud Museum. I think it's the perfect place to talk about art and creativity and the human mind. And in this age of AI, when all of these things are in question, and what will be the future of artists, of human creativity. But maybe we'll start with something a bit lighter.
Yeah, there's a lot we can dive into. But when I first got heard the offer to do this talk with you, I was very excited because my son turns 10 this month. And when I was pregnant 10 years ago, my very good friend gave me your book, Sapiens.
Okay.
With a note saying, since you're growing a new sapien, I'd like to gift you this book. And so it felt very full circle. Yeah.
And was there anything in the book that kind of caught your attention, a story, an idea, something that...
I'm sure a lot of people say this, but the part where you share the perspective about cultivating wheat. We didn't domesticate wheat, they domesticated humans. That was one of those oh my God, world view shifting moments that I don't think I'll ever forget. And I really enjoyed those moments in Nexus as well.
Thank you.
I love the way you express, you take the way you leave all these ideas and then like a mathematical equation, you somehow bring it together into a very simple expression. I love the analogy of the World Wide Web having spread and connected people, which you think might be compared to a cocoon. I love those connections you make.
Yeah, I think that previously, everybody expected the web to just connect all the universe ultimately. And now increasingly the web is closing in on us. And people sometimes live side by side, each one cocooned in a different universe, almost unable to reach out and to connect to the next person. And I think, when I think about music, this is what music have been trying to do for thousands of years. This is its power.
And art.
Yeah, to connect people together. Yeah. And I was wondering maybe we just jump right in.
Sure, let's do it.
What do you think is the future of music in the era of AI? Maybe I'll just say about myself, I write books, I'm a scholar, but writing history is somewhere in between kind of science and art. Because to write a history book, it's not an equation. You need to tell stories. So I also, to some extent, I see myself as an artist. And I don't know if I'll still be writing books in 5 years or 10 years, because maybe by the 2030s, AIs will write books like Sapiens and Nexus so much better than me, that it will be kind of almost meaningless for a human being to engage in that.
I just find that really hard to imagine. I understand logically that is where things are going in a lot of creative fields. I was talking with my friend who's in the film industry, and she said everyone's talking about VO3. It's the
new.
And it's just another level. It made a big jump in terms of what it could do. And people are really, some people are quite shaken by the future of their work. I understand that logically, my thinking part, but something deep inside me makes me think there's no way humans will not want human-made things. I think we're just naturally art-making people. It's one of the first things we do when we leave the womb. We can't talk, but we're sort of singing and babbling. And we can't even walk yet, but you sort of dance a bit or tap things or react to things like that. And I think the universe is full of music. That's where it comes from, and art. I mean, I think it's basically. I love the part where you said you were talking about how when AI beat AlphaGo beat a human player.
Yeah.
And you were saying that the creative jobs are not safe either, because creativity, in simple terms, you said creativity is, one of the big aspects of it is pattern recognition and also
breaking the pattern.
Exactly,
like
yes.
You recognize the pattern and you break it, and that's the creativity. And in many fields, again, I would love to hear your views on music, because I'm not really an expert in music, but certainly in games like Go and chess, now AI is far more creative than humans. You know, when you have this kind of humans-only competition, and there is always this fear that somebody's getting advice from an AI, one of the ways they check it is the level of creativity that the players display. If they play in a way which is too creative, immediately the suspicion is, they must be getting advice from an AI. Now, with music, with film, or with writing books, we are still not there, of course. But when I look at the trend over the last 10 years, if I think, what do I do when I write a book? So, first of all, I need to come up with a subject, like a question that really bothers me. Then I need to gather a lot of material, and I need to analyze it. And then I need to kind of put it in writing with, I'm using stories and anecdotes and so forth. So these are the basic stages. And when I look at each one of these stages, I can't see why AI will not be able to do that. For a long time, I had friends who say they will never be able to come up with the questions. But now I have colleagues who go to the AI to give them what are the most interesting research questions within field X.
But that's not just asking them to do research, that's them coming up with the questions, or are they looking for
They ask the AI
to think of questions?
To come up with what are the kind of main kind of missing links, the things it would be very interesting to know and that we still don't know about a certain field or a certain subject. And similarly with gathering information and analyzing it, the amount of information that I can gather is infinitesimal compared to the AI. Yeah. And then all the way to writing amusing stories or anecdotes. So I've already seen, these wonderful stories written by AI. And I agree that humans will always want to create for the joy of creating, as children do. But would it still be valued? I mean, until today, it's not just that we liked doing it, it was extremely valuable. Nothing on planet Earth could be as creative as us. And now in more and more fields, there is something which can be more creative. And lastly, I also really kind of connect to what you said, that I can understand it in my intellect, but deep inside, I tend to think about it as a kind of brain-stomach barrier. That my brain already understands what is happening, but my stomach refuses to digest it. And the stomach is more powerful. I mean, ultimately, we are controlled by the stomach, not by the brain.
And our instincts seem to lie a lot in our gut feelings.
Yeah, our gut feelings, our kind of deep kind of emotional reactions, I think they come from the stomach, like literally. I mean, there are hundreds of millions of neurons in the stomach. It's just a metaphor. And so I can say these things and I give talks about it and interviews, but when I look at how I actually live my life, I still can't really take it seriously. And it's true of most of my colleagues, like that they in the AI field. Like they will come up with the most kind of scary or far-reaching predictions about what AI will do. And then in the way they actually live, they don't change anything because we can't really imagine it.
Well, it's like, I guess we're quite slow. We're not very good at adapting to something that hasn't really happened yet. We know the climate change is real, but we're not really dealing with it very well. So maybe we'll just have to see how it goes. But I do understand that being creative is a lot of problem solving. That's mainly how I see it. Well, raising a question, like you said, and then thinking of finding problems is kind of how I view it, and then finding ways to solve the problem. And then a big part of it is also understanding patterns and breaking it in interesting ways or ways that feel good. I like to explain that when I make music as it's like a dance in how I feel, where it's going, or a balance of things that feel natural and expected, like a melody or chords. Well, chords are a very good way of, maybe a good way of thinking about how AI could make music very well. Because I mean, if you open like a music theory book, you just see a bunch of numbers, basically. There are patterns like, the famous, like you start with a dominant chord, which is 5, and then you resolve it in a tonic chord, which is 1, and patterns like 4, 5, 1, and 2, 2, 5, 1, or things like that. So it feels very mathematical and structured and almost objective. So of all the musicians, I guess in a way I'm thinking AI is also another sea of musicians that have a different approach. But if I almost think of them as just having more musicians in the world, then I would still just keep doing what I do, which is I listen to the music that's out there or that's been made in the past that I love or maybe don't like, and I come up with the natural parts that feel natural and good to me as a human or just as a listener. And then I like to throw in parts that are like a betrayal to the listener, where it's a bit unexpected or it's a bit weird, like that shouldn't happen. So it's breaking the pattern, yes.
Yeah.
That's the most fun part of it. But I base it on what feels interesting for me. So I'm just curious, I wonder, without a clear objective, I think the biggest difference in the creative process, as far as I can see with my limited knowledge of AI, is that my objective in making music would be completely egotistical, because it's just me trying to discover things about me or the world around me.
What do you discover through music? Can you give an example of like something you discovered? That...
There's always something quite big that it's almost like because if I don't, especially with lyrics, maybe this is where it comes in more than the musical part of it, but if I don't come up with something that I find is new to me, like a new idea, something I've been rolling in the back of my mind, a question I've had, and I'm stuck. I can't come up with the last line in the song, but I feel like it's the most important part. And then I work on it more, push, keep asking myself, and then I'll come up with like the web versus cocoon sort of analogy, and maybe that becomes the title, web and cocoon. Or
how do you actually work on it? Like, if you're missing the last line of the song, what do you do to work on it?
So it's another aspect of creativity that I think is really important, which is patience and also letting go. And I like to compare this patience part to, I feel like a fisherman sitting on a boat, and no matter what I'm doing, if I'm working on lyrics or maybe even just the music part of a song, I'm sitting on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and whether I'm having dinner cooking or getting changed or just watching TV or talking with a friend, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm sitting on the boat
waiting for...
Because I know that I can't force it. Part of me just has to be patient and believe that it will come. And then it does. And have enough distractions around me so that my mind is not laser focused on just that issue. because the ideas really bubble up to the surface, like the subconscious ideas, when I'm well distracted.
But is it just one fish? Or I mean, when I try to think about the metaphor, like, is it like an empty ocean and I'm waiting for this one fish to bite? Or is it that every second, one fish or the other bites, and most of them are just, no, not this one, not this one, and until the right fish bites. Like, is it like lots of noise in the mind until out of the noise something, yes, this is the thing? Or is it just like silence, 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 and then something?
A lot of things bubble up, and then I think, no, that's not quite it. Or maybe once I think, oh, that sounds good. And then a bit later I think, no, wait, no, not yet. That's not the thing that I was waiting for. And then when something, I just know it, when it really truly captures this like far away, out of focus vision, the answer that I was sort of searching for in myself, which could be something as basic as what I have been feeling about something. It's like a way of discovering some sort of truth about myself, which I believe, if it comes from deep within me enough and it's honest enough, it's a universal truth. So it'll, pretty much anyone can relate to it because it's just that basic. And I love the ending of your acknowledgments in Nexus. I think it was the acknowledgments.
Oh, okay.
Where you say your book, when I'm reading your book, that's when our minds connect. And so the book itself is a nexus. And that's the thing, that's the truth that makes me feel connected to myself and thus to everyone in the world. But the motivation, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The biggest difference is, but I don't know how AI feel. So I'm just curious if AI, without giving an objective like make music that will grab people's attention, or make music that will facilitate this specific sort of bodily reaction, like sweating or elevated heart rate, or maybe even deeper things in the brain, like chemicals being released and analyzed. That's about the result. And winning a match that has a clear result it's aiming for. But when I'm making something, it's like I'm trying to find that. I don't know what the result is until I get there.
What is the result for you?
It's just the piece of music, but it's almost like a byproduct. And everything important that happened to me, the value of the song is what happened while I was making it. Yeah.
But this is for us as creators. This I completely agree that there is a deep need, yearning in humans to create, and this will continue irrespective of AI.
But whether people will appreciate that or not, right?
Whether people will appreciate it, whether it will have a place in the world and it won't just be my hobby to do it. That's the question. And when a lot of time when you ask artists or creators, what is the result? What are we trying to achieve? So one very common answer is that they are trying to create a certain state of mind in somebody else, to bring up a certain emotion, joy or sadness or whatever. And this is the kind of thing that potentially AI would be very good at.
Yes, yeah.
Even if it has no emotions of its own, it will be able to recognize the emotion of other people and then find by trial and error how, if you imagine, like if you compare a human being, like our emotional system is basically like a piano, that the AI will learn how to play the human emotional piano and how to produce sadness, how to produce joy, how to produce fear or awe better than a human artist, simply through the sheer volume of information it can process. Like it can gather data on millions of actual human beings. Like when I write a book, So I would sometimes try to imagine my reader. And I usually base my imagined reader either on myself or on people I actually know, or on encounters I had with students at university or public events or interviews. But this is a very limited pool of examples, of data. So when I'm doing it, maybe I have a kind of a pool of information on a couple of hundred people. The AI that would write the book or the piece of music, it would have data on millions and billions of human beings over time. So if the goal is to create a certain state of mind for other people, I just don't see how we can compete with the AI on that, especially as it will also have the advantage of being able to tailor the book, the song specifically to different people. I can't write a slightly different book for different people. But for AI, maybe it would be quite easy.
Yeah, I think the tailor-making aspect is quite interesting. I'd love to try it and see if it'll make music that, well, eventually, I guess, the kind of music that I really love. I mean, it's almost like music streaming platforms suggesting playlists and songs based on what you've listened to algorithmically. But I just wonder, I don't know if this is a good comparison, but let's say there's something cheap and quickly prepared, very accessible, like fast food. Yes, it does have a big market, but then there's a different type of value that people place on something like what is it called? The effort heuristic, where people, if they know that, if a human or maybe even AI, if they've done it in a more difficult way or something where it's very limited access, then if someone has spent time making it and they know that an actual human being has struggled, and because the source of your book itself, writing it in itself is a struggle, or a lot of work, but you're putting in your entire life's experience into what you make at that point, right? So it's not just, people love hearing a story, right? Any person in marketing or like music industry on the sales side I talk to, or even with books and promotion, I guess. They always say, oh, what's your story, right? Yeah. People are suckers for stories. That's the most important thing. And it's just how we evolved, so it's true. And I wonder if, I think there is a place for, say, music made by AI that is, it's like going to a playlist, you want to feel relaxed, so you just look for relaxing music playlist and you just play it and you're happy with that. You don't really care if a human made it, and if they struggled to make it or some AI whipped it up for you. I might just listen to that too. But then there are other times, so maybe I'm just really hungry and I'm really thirsty. And there's, I don't really care. Like, this is my cheat day. I can eat whatever I want. Maybe I'll just go into a fast food store and get hamburger or something. But there will be other times when I really want to sit in front of the chef and talk about the catch of the day or something and watch him prepare the stuff in front of me.
I think that in all fields, if we are looking for a relationship, that's a different. It's a different subject to explore, but definitely here it will be much more difficult to replace the humans. We see it in things like chess. That already everybody knows that AI plays chess much better than humans, but you still have human chess masters that they have a job and they have a large crowd of fans and followers. So what are they looking for? They are actually not looking for somebody who is just a genius in chess. They are looking for a relationship with another human being. And what makes the relationship compelling, attractive, is exactly what you said, the kind of the struggle. That if the story of this chess master who came from a particular background and had this big challenge or failure and managed to pick themselves up and try again. It's the same like with the Olympics. I mean, we know that a car can drive much faster than any human athlete. We still want to see the kind of frail, vulnerable human being who is kind of rising up to the challenge. But it's a big question if this is, because then I think it may be interesting to talk with a chess master if we had one here, because I think it's a different kind of job then. Then previously you were you wanted to be the universe #1 expert on chess. Now you know this is a hopeless task, and what you're left with is being a kind of almost like an actor.
Yeah.
And it also raises question, if I'm no longer the best chess player in the world, I'm just a story that people connect to, what does it say about my personal life? Because now this is really the only thing I can give the fans is my personal life, because my chess is nothing compared to the AI. So does it mean that now I have to kind of open up my personal life to them because that's my job? And of course, the other question is, if people are really looking for a relationship, is that something that AI could give them? Because we already know, like when I was in Japan and Korea and China 2 months ago, and people told me it's also becoming big here in Europe, that people start to have AI boyfriends and AI girlfriends, and they are having romantic relationships, and also or just relationships, not necessarily romantic, with AIs. And people increasingly say that they think the AI has feelings. Like, because I'm an AI expert and I talk a lot about this, I get a lot of emails from people who are sometimes very angry with me for saying in some interview that AI doesn't have feelings. And they say, no, I have this AI friend and we talk every day, and they send me these kind of long transcripts of the conversations they have with the AI, convinced that the AI has feelings and consciousness. So maybe even this is not kind of like the human fortress, that we will always have this and the AI can't get there.
Well, I think the relationship side, it's been predicted in science fiction movies and, well, novels, I guess, too. And that might accelerate. It looks like it's spreading more in that direction. But with performance-based, like being a fan of a chess player, or or athletes, why that's more exciting than watching AI battle each other. I guess the exact point is that people are so vulnerable and unpredictable, and we're not as good in a way. We're not going to get it right every time. And I mean, I don't know, maybe I think there's almost a way you could tweak AI to be just the right percentage like able to make a mistake.
Of vulnerability.
Yeah. And that might actually up the level of people relating more to AI and humanizing them more. I think that would be very interesting. Like maybe they get upset sometimes, because in human relationships, the biggest difference is that I heard someone saying, I think it was like a podcast or something, and I can't remember, but someone said an AI can feel like a good friend, like a chatbot type, like a good friend, but it will not make you a good friend, because it just accepts everything. It validates everything you say and do, and it's always understanding. So, I mean, that just feels good for people, right? But so in the short term, people might prefer that over friends who might disagree with you. But in the long term, I feel like people will just get used to the perfect friend and maybe want something more human.
But that can be easily tweaked.
Yeah, that's exactly what they
the
tap
people who
into
told
it.
us about the AI boyfriend, they said, there are obviously commercial interests behind it, and they want to make the AI boyfriend more addictive. And they already discovered that the easiest way to make the AI boyfriend more addictive is to make it mean.
Hot and cold. Hot and cold.
Yeah, exactly. If you have an AI boyfriend who always adores you and agrees with everything, you get bored very quickly. Yeah. But if the AI boyfriend is sometimes mean, is sometimes inaccessible, is sometimes angry, then it really presses your emotional buttons.
Toxic AI boyfriend. Oh my God. Yeah, so I'm just interested to see how that goes in that field of like friendship level relationships. But going back to music, I've read that, especially live setting, I think it's going to be even now, just listening on a device or something, and being in a live setting has diverged more and more, I think, because of how easy it is to listen to music. It's everywhere. So most artists, musicians, don't make a lot of money from selling music anymore. They still do, but there's, I think in the last 10, 20 years, a lot of musicians have turned more to find their earnings by doing tours and live shows. That's where the money really is, I guess. And I read that, especially in a live setting, music can synchronize the brainwaves of the people participating in listening to the same music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the bigger the venue, this happens more, apparently. So, who knows, maybe, AI-made music might be very convenient in some settings, but the way we've, gathered around a fire and played music together to retell stories or scare off animals or just for the joy of it, who knows. That feeling of our brainwaves synchronizing, those kinds of effects in a live setting, I don't know, maybe if AI could do that, like a performer AI, we might really be in danger.
Here in London, you have the ABBA Voyage show.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yes.
And you had thousands of people having their brains and bodies synchronized by avatars.
Yes.
Ultimately based on human beings. But I think when you look at the long-term history of music, so originally the human and the music were kind of completely inseparable. Like the only way you could experience music is if you had a human being singing or performing. There was no way to separate the music from the human. Then over time, especially in the last few centuries, with the invention of various technologies, it became possible first with recordings to separate. So you can have, you can sit at home and listen to on the Patifon to some record, and you don't need the human there, but there was still a connection because you still needed a human somewhere to create the record. And now I think we've reached the point in history when you can completely break the connection and you can have just music without a human creator, and the music can keep developing by itself. Like if you think about AI music, not as an AI, but it's just as music. So you said earlier that music has a mathematical foundation. So think about all these kind of mathematical entities, all these tunes and songs, and they interact with each other and they create, like their interactions, they create more and more new music that never passed through the brain or mind of a human. And previously, like if you're a creator of music, so you listen to a lot of live shows and also a lot of records, and then you mix them together in your mind and you bring to the world something new. But now the music can just directly interact with more music and create new music without any human brain or mind in the process. So
Yeah, I'm actually quite excited to see. I'm very curious. I mean, I think with anything, I think my curiosity beats any other, feelings like apprehension or fear. I'm very curious. I'm curious if, I think it'd be just really interesting if AI just began wanting to make music. I would like to hear what that sounds like.
Well, the desire of
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, as far as we know, AI has no desires in the sense of feelings of desire. And as far as we know, at least for now, AI has no consciousness. It has intelligence, it has the ability to pursue goals, to solve problems, but it has no feelings. But in a way, you don't need feelings in order to want to do something. Like we already had for centuries, we had things like corporations, like countries, like states. They don't have desires. We use it as a metaphor. Like we say, one country wants to go to war against another country. A country cannot really want anything because it has no mind.
It's not real.
It's not real. It's only in our imagination. But now with AI, we can have these, again, entities that don't feel anything, but they do pursue goals. And if we give them the goal, or they give themselves the goal of create new music, they can just go ahead and do that. And I think what really fascinates me is this idea of releasing music from its embeddedness in the human brain and mind, and you just have music interacting with itself. The same way that I'm a literary person, my life is words, is books. And just have the words talking with the words. Because previously, again, what would writers do? I would read one book and another book and another book, and then mix them somehow in my mind, and then create a new book out of it. The books could not talk, one book could not talk directly with another book. Now it's becoming possible. But in a way, when I think about AI and text, this is what it means. That texts can talk directly with texts and create new texts they don't need me as a kind of matchmaker.
Do you think a book could be written without an audience in mind? I mean, a good book.
A book can certainly be written without an audience in mind. Without an...
Because what you said earlier about how AI could get more data. So rather than you thinking about 20 people you know who would enjoy reading the book or find it really interesting and exciting, that AI could get the data or the predicted response from the whole world.
Yeah.
Would that necessarily, without someone directing them what the purpose of the book is or who? I mean, there's no book that everyone in the world is going to love reading, right?
If it's exactly the same text, then no. Yeah.
So I guess the possibility of it being tailor-made to each person maybe makes this talk meaningless. I mean, what I'm saying right now, meaningless. But just to make something like thousands or millions of people would enjoy or think is really special, because I think there is something universal that we all, find interesting. But
we know of such books. They are holy books. Like the Bible, the Quran. This is exactly the story being told about them, that allegedly they were not created by any human being, and their audience is the entire world. Now, as a historian, I say this is not the case. We know, for instance, how the Bible was written. We know that you had many people writing different texts, and then you had editors who decided this text will be in the Bible. No, this text we'll leave it out because it has some message we don't like. And it got edited and rewritten. So it was a human creation. But in their fantasies, humans believe that these books did not come from the human mind. in a way, they have the fantasies that, yes, the words just kind of collected themselves to tell some universal message to the whole of humanity. And one of the things that I think about a lot is what AI will do to religions. Because and a lot of religions, they are based on texts. Yeah. So you have, like, again, the Bible, the Quran, and so forth. But their problem always was that the text could never actually talk to you. So if you read the book and something is not clear, or you read the book and you're not sure, how does this relate to my life? Is this the right interpretation? Is that? You can't ask the book, can't talk back to you. So you always needed humans to come back in the picture, priests, rabbis, imams, the bishops, the popes, to tell you what the book is saying. So it was never actually a conversation with the book. And now we have a technology where the book can actually talk back. So you can have an AI that can be the biggest expert in the world on Christianity or on Judaism simply by reading all the Jewish texts that were ever written, and it will be a bigger expert on that than the greatest rabbi. So what happens to religion when for the first time the book can actually talk to you? And I think it's also very relevant to music because of the central importance of music in religions.
Yes, yeah.
But did you ever think about why music was so... almost every religion.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think from thinking about how old most religions are, there must have been a point when, there's the question of, did language come first or did music come first? You know, the people, I don't know if there's a clear answer to that, but I haven't read his books, but I've heard someone talking about this, doing research on this question. There's a person called Daniel Levitin, I think. And they're researching this sort of stuff. And what I heard him saying was that I don't know what the exact evidence is, but they have learned, or they seem to have found that how do they say it? The neurological circuits that encode music seem to precede that of language. I'm not sure how the exact research behind it. But I think it's pretty safe to say, for sure, language and music must have co-evolved. I mean, there's no way. You can't separate language and music. I mean, music is a language. You can notate it, and you can express. I mean, the amount of information in the symbol, how much symbolism is in it, is quite different. But there are some languages that are so tonal that if you get one accent, which is basically a melody, wrong. I mean, when I tried practicing Chinese during my tour last year, I knew it was a tonal language, but I was really surprised at how tonal it was. It was really, for me, it was like learning a new piece of music. And if I got one, and well, here AI was quite useful because I practiced using this thing where I could say it into my phone, and it would transcribe it. So it could tell me if I'm saying something wrong, it would come up incorrectly as a written language. So that's how tonal some languages are. And also, I mean, in religion, most of even I think the written scriptures, maybe they were music first, sung.
They're often
first,
kind of
right?
Chanted.
Yeah, the chants, and that's for religious ceremonies, the music, and to record the words, I guess, and the ideas, they probably sang it together. So even in the Bible, there are the Psalms. And they also, at one point I got really interested in this, and I think I read it in this book. I'm not 100% sure, but I brought it. It's a Japanese book. It said, or it just brought to my attention that most religions use metallic instruments. So, say church bells, and in some Asian religions for rituals, they use a lot of like bell type sounds, like vibraphone-like sounds. And in Buddhism, they also use a big bell. It's quite central to their message. It plays a big role. And I think it was this book, I'm not sure. But so I read, I thought it was really interesting that metallic instruments must have seemed very magical because, like you said, before they existed, humans must have had to be doing something, like singing or hitting something to make a sound. But with a big metallic instrument, or even small ones, you can do the hitting, and then it'll keep ringing for a long time. Yes. And that must have felt very mystical and magical, and also a symbol of power. Like I read somewhere that even authority figures, or like say lords or people that ruled a certain amount of land, whatever big noise they could make, like a bell, using a bell, something like that, and used to mark their territory, how far away you could be to hear it still ringing. So maybe I'm digressing, but...
No, I've read the same thing about chimpanzees, that when chimpanzees, especially males, compete for alpha position, one of the things they do, they make a lot of noise, and especially like rhythmic noise. Like they would even drum on things with their feet to impress everybody on how...
Wow. So we're not that far away from from chimpanzees yet. But I guess there's parts of us that will maybe never change or remain with us no matter how much we evolve and no matter how much AI become a part of our lives.
I want to ask you something about, you said that music is like language. There was one thing that always kind of struck me about the difference, that can you lie in music?
Ooh.
Because in language, you can tell lies. But is it possible to lie in music? Like, you know, today everybody's talking about fake news.
Yes. And
is there fake music? Like, there is bad music, absolutely. Is there kind of any equivalent?
Well, so since the objective of music is not, in my opinion, is not to pass on a certain sort of information, do I think that? Let's say that.
Let's explore.
Let's explore where that takes me. To me, if there is an objective to music making, it's to be as honest as I possibly can with myself. So if my self-editing that happens in songwriting, of course there's parts that just, I think, sound better sonically or something, but with the lyrics especially, it's, if I've written something and I think, wait, I'm actually not sure what I'm saying here. Like, it's not really coming from somewhere that counts. Like, I just put words together that sound nice. Or I don't really believe that, what I've written in this part. Then I have to, there's no way it could stay.
But is it just the lyrics, like the words? Can the actual music be fake or lie?
I think the only way, I mean, this is more as like an artistic stance maybe, but if I make something that I don't really believe in or believe it really came from me, like if I've skipped the process, I guess, to me that's fake music. So, but it's a very human artist perspective, so which is why AI made music feels like it's skipping an important part of it. But then what do I know what AI feel and what do I know what they go through? Even the part about patience that I thought was a very human, or the part of the creative process that I value a lot. Because actually the unpredictability or the accidents and mishaps, when things don't go right and you struggle with it, or you can't come up with something, and the time you spend trying to get there, to me, that's where the magic happens in music making. But I heard that, I forgot which AI company did this, but they tweaked the response time of AI to wait a bit before they answer. And didn't that really increase the quality of the response? Yeah. So that I find very interesting too. Like these things that we think are, or that I thought was a human thing, can more and more it's being implemented in how AI function, I guess.
And this kind of patience, waiting time, would you describe this as silence? Does music ultimately comes from silence?
Yes. Well, it's almost like, well, I think music changes it's more, I like to compare music to architecture because I feel like we're carving out space for something to exist. It's like the dark matter that we don't know about or that we can't detect with our senses yet or ever, I guess. But if it's possible, you could throw in every sound in the universe, in the world, every note on any scale, every scale into a song, but that sounds horrible. And the more refinement you can put into it comes from, it's important what you take out. What you take out is as much, or leave out, is I think actually even more important than what you put in. And the space, like if you're mixing a song, that's a very physical process. You're sorting out the frequencies to make room for some frequencies to stand out here and some to stand out here, or there's too much of this low frequency here, let's cut that out. So it's really like thinking, it's a spatial thing as well. And well, I think the same is true with language. What you don't say sometimes holds a lot more meaning than what you imply, I guess, in a poetic sense especially. But yes, and the silence is in between. It just doesn't say like a bass pattern goes dun, 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 dun. Where the sound exists is very important, but what makes the groove is the little moments of silence in between. So I really, and a song, I think the silence after a piece of music is somehow, it has been altered from the silence that preceded that song. But that's how I feel. So I think silence is very, very important.
But what I was wondering, again, it goes back to what we discussed in the beginning, whether the creative process is kind of something emerging out of silence, or is it like lots of noise that, like we are, like a piece of marble that you take out all the unnecessary bits and then you're left with the statue. So do we have like this huge noise inside us that we just take out parts of it until we are left with the text or with the music or whatever it is?
I don't know if it's... I think there is definitely chaos. I feel like there's just lots of noise, I guess, basically. And it's more like moving towards the silence. That's how it feels for me, the process of it.
I'm asking because when I try to understand what completely new things AI might bring. So if we start with an example that we already know, like this game of Go. So what we know is that Go was invented, I think, in China like 2,500 years ago. And for more than 2,000 years, tens of millions of people in China, in Japan, in Korea played Go. And they explored all the different ways you can play Go. There was this strategy and this trick and this philosophy and that philosophy. And people thought they basically explored all the way to play Go. And the amazing thing about AlphaGo, this AI that defeated the Go champion in 2016, is not just that an AI defeated a human, but to defeat the human, it came up with strategies that nobody played, nobody discovered Like tens of millions of people playing Go for 2,000 years. Nobody thought of playing Go like that. It's like, if you think like in space, so it's like you have the planet of Go, all the different ways to play Go, like a big planet. And humans were living on one island in that planet. And they thought that this island was the whole world. Yeah. And then AI came and suddenly discovered new islands, continents. And today, humans learn from AI how to play Go in these completely new ways. And could something similar happen with texts, with music, that we've been playing music not 2,000 years, but maybe 200,000 years, 2 million years. And we thought we explored all the ways to create music. And maybe there is like a completely unexplored continent of music that our organic brains just don't think of going there. They don't know how, like our imagination is limited. And AI will be able to discover these new continents of music. So it's all in my mind connected to this kind of silence noise question. Like, is everything already inside me? And it's just a matter of kind of separating, or does something really completely new and other can come from outside?
What makes being creative or being in the creative mode very, very exciting and special for me is two opposite things I feel are happening at the same time. And like we're reflections of what the outside world is around us, right? And that definitely affects me, and maybe that's the chaos in a way, or I don't know, it's a lot of noise and information. But at the same time, I am also, what makes me up is my inside, what happens inside me is quite limitless, and our interior world. So that reflects back on me as well. So I feel like there's like two reflections, or maybe even more, like multiple and different levels of awareness, and just a lot of reflections going on. And maybe that's what I feel is like the noise, but what seems like the opposite direction, things going in the opposite direction somehow lead to one place. That's what it feels like. When I'm looking out at the same time that I'm looking in, when I'm really trying to get to a very...
So if AI, let's say, comes up with a new kind of music that we never heard before, would it open up a new place inside us that we never visited before?
I think it would. I mean, we're so easily influenced by things. I mean, imagine what other cultures, foreign cultures, brought into when we thought, like living civilization living in one place, thinking we're the only humans in the world, and then across the sea, these people come and it's been history of influencing each other and affecting each other. We can't not affect each other. So, as frightening as AI seems in some ways, I'm also excited to see what sort of collaborating it could bring about, because they still need us. I mean, at this point.
And still, yeah.
We don't know how long that'll last, but so there is an element of us teaching them things, and actually, it's very important, isn't it, that we teach them the right things. But what can they teach us? I think they're already people are learning a lot about our own intelligence by trying to create more intelligence, more intelligent AI, and watching the development of it. And that process is very enlightening about ourselves. And with questions like consciousness, that I think it's kind of like thinking about, we're trying to think about consciousness using our consciousness, which is very tricky, I think. So I'm curious what new ideas about that or
the tricky thing with AI consciousness is that how would we be able to tell whether the AI is conscious or not? And especially as there are a lot of very strong commercial interests that want to create AI that mimics consciousness. Like again, if you're a company and you want to kind of, you have these AI boyfriends and you want to make people fall in love with them and pay money to stay in touch with them. So you need to make the people feel that this is not just a machine, there are feelings there. I mean, for me, the definition of consciousness, what is consciousness? I mean, this huge confusion that intelligence and consciousness are linked, but they are not the same thing. Intelligence is the ability to pursue goals and overcome problems on the way to the goal. So like your goal is to win a game of chess, and you can, on the way to that goal, invent all kinds of tricks and manage to overcome the tricks of your opponent. So this is intelligence. You don't need consciousness for that. Consciousness is the ability to feel things like joy and love and pain and anger. AI is already more intelligent than us in things like chess, but it still doesn't feel anything. But if the goal of the AI is to make you fall in love with it, maybe because there is a commercial interest there, then the way to do it is to convince you that it has feelings. And the AI will become very, very good because we could ask the AI, you say that you love me, describe to me exactly how you feel. But this AI, it has read all the love poetry in human history. It can describe the feeling of love better than the best human poet. So just listening to the words of the AI will not really be a good enough test. So I just don't see what kind of proof we could have that the AI has consciousness. What I definitely can see is that even without proof, millions of people will be convinced that the AI is conscious, that the AI has feelings, and therefore we should recognize them as persons and give them rights and form relationships with them. And it will not be clear whether we are discovering this amazing new universe of consciousness or whether we are falling into the biggest delusion in human history.
I was just wondering if there's a way to 100% prove that I'm conscious or that I have consciousness, or if someone could disprove me by saying I could be mimicking human emotion.
We know that we don't have proof for other humans or other animals. I mean, consciousness until now was a social convention. We, as a society, we agree that all people are conscious, not because we have proof, but because this is like we have relationships with them. And it is usually relationships that convince people that consciousness is real. This is why, people who have dogs are usually convinced that the dog is conscious, that the dog can feel pain and love and so forth. But people who say eat a cow usually think, no, it's not, it doesn't feel anything. Because they eat it, but they have no relationship with it. Now, once we have very intense relationships with AIs, it will be almost impossible to resist the temptation to believe that they are conscious. But again, whether it will be maybe it will be the biggest delusion in human history.
Maybe one test could be to see if they truly desire to make something like music or not.
How do we know if they truly desire or just mimicking this? They will learn from us. They will observe how humans behave, and I can observe how hundreds of people behave. They can observe millions of people, so they will be able to mimic human emotions much better than humans can. So. And I think a new aspect, or another key aspect of this brave new world we are entering is that we will just not know.
Yeah, just gonna raw dog into it. we have no idea what's going to be there for us, I guess.
Yeah, so that's a lot to think about. But I think, as we said in the beginning, there is this kind of mismatch, this kind of just really barrier between the brain and the stomach, that we can intellectually kind of understand many of these ideas, but until we are actually there experiencing it, we won't know.
Yes, we're explorers in a sense of our own worlds.
Yeah.
I love to speak again 10 years from now and see what's happened.
Yeah.
Oh, it's already been a few years since you wrote Nexus.
It just came out last year.
But it said you wrote the bulk of it.
Oh yeah, it took me like 5 years to write it. So like from 2019, 2020. I look back at the past 5 years, and the first half of the 2020s was so like a roller coaster, with COVID and the pandemic and all the wars. But I think that people will remember the early 2020s as the quiet time before the real storm
Oh my gosh.
came.
Bracing ourselves.
Yeah, but I often joke with people that, you just have to enjoy the ride.
Yes,
And it's going to be one hell of a ride. We can't stop it. It's too late to press the brakes. And we'll just have to find ways to enjoy the ride.
Yes, for me, that's my tool is curiosity. To override the fear, to enjoy. Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was so exciting and fun. Thank you.